Good morning. So, this is a little get ready with me chit chat because I have to go to the store and get my stuff out. So, I left my job at my full-time job. I left it because it's just a toxic environment. It was very toxic. The manager, Patricia Gomez, who goes by Patty, was just the type of person where, like, if you're not in her department, she's gonna point out what you're doing wrong. Well, what for? Like, what do you benefit from that, you fucking idiot? So, if you're in her department, I understand, but if you're in an entirely different department, like accounting, she'll be like, well, accounting's doing their job wrong. What the fuck do you know? You don't know what they fucking do, you stupid ass. So, on Wednesday, I left, and in the Salida office, because that's where it's located, in Salida, they were basically like, okay, you have to, if you're leaving, you gotta turn in your key and your badge. Like, the fucking badge got me into the office. It was actually the fucking key. Like, stupid asses. But apparently we have to turn in our badge. Like, we couldn't keep our badge. So, whatever. I was like, yeah, I'll turn it in. I cleaned up my desk, and I was just like, whatever. And on top of that, Patty was like kind of discouraging towards her department because she came from Sutter, and she was like, oh, you know, the girls at Sutter are just so mean. It's like, you don't fucking know that. They were probably mean to you because you were probably being a little narc and tattling and pointing out what they're fucking doing is wrong. So I was gonna get ready, but this is gonna be like a fucking ramble. So she's, you know, doing her so-called job, you know, by saying things like, and everything. So, I left, well, I was technically let go because they were developing a call center, and I was working the call center. I was the only one working the call center because Patty was like, you know, we don't have time to schedule these people from this CHCA clinic for their annual physicals because that's the clinic's job. Technically, yes, it is the clinic's job to schedule the patients for their annual physical because the insurance covers a yearly annual physical exam once a year. If it's like follow-ups, like for anything else, you know, they need to schedule that. So on top of that, Patty was like, well, I don't have time to be scheduling these appointments for the CHCA clinic because the girls in that clinic are just, you know, lazy. Right. She's like, because apparently they have a lot to do. And I've seen their schedule. They're pretty booked for the most part. But, yeah. So I am doing that. I'm calling them and scheduling them and everything. So I, you know, was just like, you know me. If you know me personally, I make videos about the places I worked with and I talk about it. So if CHCA doesn't like it, fuck you, motherfucker. Do your fucking job so I don't have to do it. So, you know, all that. So she was like, she's like, well, I have a lot to do. I don't have time to be like scheduling. Sure, you have a lot to do when you're fucking fiddle-daddling on your fucking phone for 30 minutes throughout the day. Like, every time I turn around, she was like on her phone texting. And sometimes like she would take personal calls while on the clock. if I can't take a personal call on the clock and talk to that person for over an hour in a workday, neither can you. You're a fucking supervisor and everything, and you need to lead by example, which you don't fucking do, Patty. So, with that being said, we were doing everything. So we hired this new person because we were short-staffed when I was working there. And they hired him. It was a guy that they hired. And everything. And, you know, Patty was already making complaints about this, like, new employee. And it's like, wow. Wow, you're already complaining. So, because apparently I was doing the UDSs and in the call center, and apparently it was costing the company money to develop the call center, but it wasn't costing the company money to open up a clinic in fucking Merced. Like, make it make sense. So on top of that, I was like, oh, then what was the point on me making those phone calls? Because, you know, I told this to the CPA, Deborah Baker. I told her, well, I was doing it because according to Patty, the clinic is lazy and they don't want to do their job. And she was like, oh. So I'm like, that's something you need to talk about. Because the company is going through, like, changes. And when we had our old HR, the old HR representative basically told Patty, well, you're acting like a supervisor, so I'm just going to give you the supervisor position. Like, that was why you need to get someone with managerial experience, because Patty doesn't know how to be a supervisor. I think Patty likes to call the shots because she's been in places where she wasn't allowed to call the shots. That's my opinion. So, CHCA, if you're making changes, you might want to change her position. Maybe don't put her in a manager position. Just saying. So, on top of that, I should really clip my hair back. So, with that being said, I was, whatever, simmering because we had CMAC as our supervisor. And that didn't go well. And simmering, the reason why simmering was given HR supervisor was because her dad is a doctor, CHCA, and that's how she got the position. Talk about nepotism and everything else. And, you know, when I was signing my papers, my severance package, I basically said, you know, Simran can go fuck herself. The only reason why she got the position was because of her fucking dad. Like, nepotism at its finest. And the tech guy I moved to, who, by the way, is zero help to the company. Because every time we asked him for, like, tech support, and, like, help with, like, technical issues, he'd be like, I don't know, ask someone else. Dude, you're IT. Do your job as IT. You dumb fuck. I'm sorry if I'm swearing. If it offends you, get used to it, because this is real life and I swear like a sailor. So, all that, I already left them a bad review on Yelp and everything. And Patty, for the most part, in my honest opinion, was not a great supervisor. She did not have no one's best interest at heart. And when we hired a new staff member for the scheduling or long-term care department, some other girl had to train this new kid how to do their job. Because Patty's like, I don't have time to train. But you do have time to go on your phone and spend hours on your phone talking to your kids and your friends and everything for more than 30 minutes a day at your desk? You have time for that, but you don't have time to train a new employee? Like, what kind of fucking manager are you? You obviously don't know how to teach, coach, and train, you dumb fuck. So, all that being said, and then on top of that, we had a nurse practitioner who was a provider for the CHCA. And she would get into, and her and Patty would get into it like hard. You know, Patty has mentioned it many times, like, I don't have a filter for these providers. You kind of have to have a filter with the providers. You can't just tell a provider what's like on the up and up, because, you know, they went to school. They're practically there's doctors, and Patty's like, I'm not gonna have a filter for these providers. That's your supervisor. That was my supervisor. But I know I don't like having a filter, but when it comes to a doctor who I'm assisting, and if they're asking me to do something, I'm not gonna sit there and tell them, okay, you know, go do it yourself, idiot. Like, go do it yourself. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll do it, and how would you like me to do this task? You know. But, you know, Patty kind of did whatever she wanted. And everything else. And she got into it with another girl in another department by saying, like, I don't have time to do other people's jobs. Or this girl can't do a referral because she's doing it wrong. Yeah, and guess who trained the girl how to do a referral? Patty. Patricia Gomez. She taught this girl how to do referrals, and she's pointing out what she's doing wrong. Well, Patty, if the girl's doing it wrong, maybe you're the bad trainer. I hate to break it to you. Maybe you did something wrong there. Just saying. If you're saying someone's doing something wrong and you show them how to do something, maybe you're the bad trainer. Maybe someone needs to train you. And the way she did referrals at Sutter is the way she's bringing them to CHCA. By the way, Sutter's a big company and not as big as Kaiser. But she's like, oh, people like how I do the orders. So she's doing how they do orders at Sutter, and she's bringing it over to CHCA. So I was there for over a year, not even a year and a half. So I did. You know, Patty was just like, and she's also told me that training me was a waste of her time. You know what? I made a very, you know, she wants to act like and I told her, well, you seen this? I can actually document this and put it in a video and tag you in it. And she's like, well, you can't do that. I was like, actually, I can. And what's happening right now? I'm fucking laying it all out. So, but Patty was just, you know, the type of person where she's like, I don't have time for these meetings. And she's like, I have to do a manager's meeting and everything. And all that stuff. So, sorry, the corners itch of my nose. All in all, but I'm not there anymore, which I'm glad, and I'm making this video. But all in all, it's to the point where you know, Patty got COVID and she came to the office with COVID. Not very smart. She talks bad about quite a few employees, about one lady named Rosa, who does quality assurance, and she asked, Rosa, can you order COVID test? Rosa said, I don't think it'll get approved. What did Patty do? Patty went over Rosa and went to Debbie Baker, the CPA controller, and told her, we need COVID tests here in the slide office. And Debbie ordered them. That's the thing Patty does. She kind of oversteps people, like especially HR, and they have told her countless times, you need to let HR, do their part. Because when she was looking for staff, she told HR, her name was Tamika. I think her name was Tamika or Topeka, but one of those. She told her, hey, I like this person, give them a call, and I want to do onboarding. They never answer, and they never contacted Patty, which I don't know why. So Patty would contact the applicants and told them, I'm gonna hire you, when that's HR's job. And then I also heard that they hired somebody else to do HR because they were gonna get rid of Simran and CMAC because they don't know how to do HR. I mean, I could have told you that. I even said they don't even know what they're doing in life, so. And Patty was like, that's not nice, Julian. And I was like, neither is being a fucking idiot, but here we are. But, so, I love this brush from It Cosmetics. And what was that? Okay. So, change for sure. But yeah, Patty would do that. She would overstep HR, and her bosses would tell her, you can't do that. HR needs to do it. And HR didn't like that. And she's like, well, HR is not doing it, and they're not, getting back to me on time. But, no consequences for Patty. Because she's up the board member's ass. Because apparently she knows them from Horizons. She knows the providers from Horizon, and then Horizon shut down, and then she was out of a job, and then she worked at Tenet, and then everything else. Patty would talk very poorly about the places she worked at. Maybe it's because you're a tattletaling fucker. You snitch on people. I've worked in a lot of places, and let me tell you, if someone's doing something wrong, I'm not going to say anything. Why? Because I'm not training that person. And I'm also not a manager. So if I'm not in management, I heard nothing and I saw nothing. I mean, I'm not going to go and tattle because, I'm just not going to do that, because if that person is being taught a certain way, that's on the trainer. Oh, why is this eyebrow fucking weird? So, all that jazz. But yeah, she was constantly nitpicking, like always. You know, I'm glad I'm not there. And that she was always saying things like, you know, you girls wouldn't last long in a big company. Very discouraging. Like, you're saying you want the best for us, but then you tell us discouraging stuff like that, you know? And everything else. But that was my version. That's what I experienced at Community Health Centers of America and everything else. So, and Patty has also mentioned that the old HR got fired because of a girl named Ariani. And Patty and Ariani don't like each other. They even got into it in front of everyone because, you know, Ariani requested to not work with Patty, which is fine. If you request not to work with someone, that's perfectly okay. It happens. And Patty, well, Ariani came into our suite and asked Patty, you know, something about an order, a supply order. And Patty's like, well, per your request, Ariani, you didn't want to work with me, so you can work with someone else. And she was like, well, you're the supervisor, so I have to talk to you. She's like, well, according to your request, you don't want to. So talk to somebody else. And they were getting into it. Like, they were shouting. And I was just like, wow. That's the supervisor of the long-term scheduling department. That's who you have as a supervisor. She has no professionalism and everything. And, you know, so, but, you know, she was like, you have a lot of doctor's appointments. Oh, yeah, I have health problems. Nosy ass. And everything. So, that was my time working there. I'm glad I left that toxic environment. Glad I left. But for the most part, I was there for over a year. And, you know, but good things must come to an end. Thank God I'm not there anymore, dealing with that fucking bitch. So, that was my little chit chat, get ready with me kind of. But, all in all, things are looking good. I picked up more hours on caregiving. Been looking for other jobs. So, I'm glad things are getting better for me. Bye.